Hi Kilo, sorry to to reply kind of late. I was trying to get the screenshots and I was texting. I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna make a video. Uh, I want to show you a real quick video and explain the build. So anyway, let's just go with. Let's start with our gear. The first aspect you want is quickening fog because of dash and smoke grenades. I'll go into it why smoke grenades in a bit. So you want that. Oh, you want that, and on your helmet you always want to have +3 ranks on one of the abilities that you're using. In this case, like poison beaming. Poison beaming is like our main damage on this build. So poison beaming and cooldown reduction. The other two can be whatever. In this case, I armor and dexterity. It's nice. On your chest is noxious eyes because chilled enemies that are poison. You deal a lot more damage, and on your chest you always want to have damage reduction, armor, damage reduction, close enemies, distance enemies, blah blah. Damage reduction. There's one stat that is literally just called damage reduction. It applies to everything. That one is also nice. Uh, Gauntlets, frostbitten, and you always want to have something like attack speed and also +3, +4 ranks on your core ability. Whatever core ability that you're using, if you're using Flurry, if you're using Twisted Blades, Rapid Fire, whatever, right? And Frostbitten, we're using it because of also chill enemies and grenades. Now, if you decide not to use Dash, because this one and this one are like a pair, right? If you have this one, you must have this one. If you have this one, you must have this one. They're like a complement to each other. If you decide, you know what, I don't like Dash. I prefer something like I prefer something like Shadow Step, right? So just make sure to change those into those aspects. You can change. They're not like a must. You can have something different. You can have something like, for example, the new aspect that I had a chance to get it, which is called Pestilence Points. Pestilence Points. I thought, I was thinking to myself, you know what? I think this one's like, it could be pretty good with this kind of build. But anyway, you can change it. You can change that one. You can also change it for something like, you know what? For example, Share Misery, and what's the other one? Share Misery, probably not cheats. Umbros. Yeah, maybe Umbros. Cheat is also kind of good, but it's not like the best. But definitely you can change like something like, oh, my helmet for like Share Misery, and instead of Frostbitten, I will change it to something different. But mainly we're using it because of you know quickening fog and frostbitten. But if you decide, you can go with something like Share Misery and pestilent points, right? Depending on the build also you're doing. But anyway, for this build, moving on, you want to have might on your pants, mainly because a damage reduction just by attacking. Like the moment that you attack, you can see on the bottom, it automatically just applies. It's pretty nice just by attacking. Then obviously penitent grapes. Penitent grapes is a must. The percentage of what you get, like you deal 9, 5, 4. It's nice if you can get it at 10. I didn't got it at 10. I got it at 9. I think this one was the best one, but it's pretty nice. Okay, and I forgot. On your pants, what you always want to have is damage reductions. Damage reductions in any way in form possible. Penitent grapes are just fixed. Just doesn't matter what you get, but movement speed is also pretty nice. And then you want to, on your main one, this one is something that I want to clarify, is that what you want to have always is crossbows. Never go for the bows. Why not the bows? Because the bows always come with distance damage, like increase your distance damage, and then that stat, it's kind of useless because it only applies to enemies that are outside your field of vision, and most of the time you don't attack enemies that are outside your field of vision. And since we're doing blade dancers, we only doing like close quarter combat. So always a crossbow. And in this one, like since we're using twisting blades, you want to have blade dancers. And for your weapons, any weapon, and your rings, what you want to have. This is not a must, but desirably, like it'll be nice if you could get them with core skill damage, vulnerable damage, and critical strike damage. Those three, if you can get in all your rings and all your weapons, just amazing, you know. But if you don't have them, it's nice. As you can see, I was going for reroll. I spent like 1.5 million, 2 million. So it's like, you know, when I give up, basic skill damage. Fuck it. As you can see, okay, on the next one is accelerating and corruption. Now, corruption is a must. You must have this one because your imbuement skills effect have 40% more power against vulnerable damage. And since we're constantly applying vulnerable damage to enemies, it's nice. It's nice to have. It's a must. Now, let's say you don't want to use accelerating. You want to use condemnation. Condemnations, you know, it's like pretty amazing. It's like for extra deal damage. You can do it. You can replace accelerating and condemnation. Now, what you could also do, which I was using, but at the end of the at the end of my time as a rogue, I was messing around with a different build. I kind of destroyed the ring and I fucked up. It's like, okay, whatever. I'm not gonna use that because like new season's gonna start over. Why will I start? Well, why would I play on the Eternal Rail? But I didn't want to delete my character anyways. So it's like, okay. But anyway, so what you can do is just put accelerating on a ring and get rid of the Ring of Umbral. Now, Ring of Umbral is nice to have, but it's not a must. It's kind of hard to get, not gonna lie, especially with like high stats. But if you have one laying around, amazing. But what it does, just as you can see, it restores 4 points of your primary, in this case, energy, by just crowd controlling an enemy. And since we're just using Penitent Graves, it's just constantly applying crowd control on an enemy, like constantly, 100% all the time. And then this one is a must. You must have bursting venoms, and I put on a ring. This one is a must. You must have bursting venoms. And finally, why bursting venoms? Because as you can see, read the description. You just create a pool of poison. Even though it's just like 10%, trust me, it happens very often, more than 10%. Like I feel like it happens like almost 50% of the time, perhaps even more, like 75. Or I haven't played in a while, so I don't know if they nerf it, but we'll see. And then finally, disobedience, because extra protection, why not? Now, abilities. What you want to have on your abilities, it's obviously puncture. And you want to have fundamental puncture for vulnerable damage, like applying vulnerable. Like anything else is just okay, but it's not the best. And you only want to have 1 point because that's the only purpose of puncture. Just apply vulnerable. Core ability, you want to have twisting blades with improved twisting blades because of the build that I have. But let's say you don't care about days. You can go when twisted blade returns. The cooldowns are reduced, right? Either these two are nice, but they're just constantly applying days. I prefer days because I'm also using these passives. We'll go through them in a bit, but anyway, you want to have this. All the 5 points plus 4 from one of my I think my gauntlets is the ones that I have. And you want to have this one is just for extra damage and extra damage reductions, like 12%. You gain 12% close damage reductions, like you're constantly on the enemies. But this one's kind of, for what I heard, I don't know if it's true or not, but for what I heard, close damage, like anything that is close damage right now, it's broken, and everything counts as a range for what people have been saying. So maybe this one's useless. Maybe you want to remove 2 points and just have it so you can have access to the siphoning strikes. Now, siphoning strikes used to be amazing because it wasn't a lucky hit. It was a guarantee you will heal yourself constantly. Now they nerf it. They made it as a lucky hit, but pretty much by doing damage, you heal yourself. It's like a vampiric ability. Now what you want to have here is dash, because we're using dash. But if, let's say if you, like I said, if you want to use shadow step, you can remove dash for shadow step. I mainly, I was mainly using dash, but I kind of don't like it anymore because dash, you don't have anything that has what you call it. Uh, you don't have anything that has unstoppable, and everything, there's a lot of CC in the game, so maybe dash is not the best. But if you decide to remove dash, you also have to remove the helmet and the gauntlets. And like I said, I already went through all that. You can change the helmet for something like Share Misery. um, why Share Misery? Misery because of your trap, right? We'll go through your traps like this one. Like for example, knocking down an enemy counts like a CC, so it'll reapply to everyone around you, so everyone will get knocked down. So everyone will slip. So we're using that one, and since we're using a lot of days because of like quickening fog and what you call it and twisted blades, right? You apply days. We have these two. Now you don't have to have them, but they're nice. One of them is like after knocking down an enemy, like your trap, or we're gonna go in a second. When you daze an enemy, you have a chance to knock them down. So when you knock them down, you do more damage. So they're nice. It's not a must. And then obviously weapon masteries. You can see here's the stuff that I was saying. Bows, they increase damage to vulnerable damage, but it's the problem with bow is that crossbows, they also come with what you call it, vulnerable damage, right? So they already come with that extra vulnerable damage. And like I said, range attacks, like increase your range damage, is like a useless stats. So just ignore the bow all completely. Just go with the crossbow and what you call it, and have this one all the way, because crossbows deal increased critical damage. So like it's nice to have. This one is like obviously a must. Is your poison trap. Now I have +3 by an item, but most of the time you want to have like at one point. Mainly we're doing it because of the knocking down and the times 10 poison damage. That's mainly why we're doing it. You want to have like exploit for damaging extra damage to healthy and injured, and malice. Now malice, most of the time you also want to have it at 3. It just so happened that I have an item that increases extra 1 point, so I had 1 extra point to apply it on something different. In this case, I actually added to which one called poison imbuement, because normally poison imbuement you only want to have it at 1 point, but I added the extra point because I had a 1 extra point laying around. As you can see, I have 2 extra points, and these 2 extra points, they can go whatever, right? Whatever you want. Those extra 2 points, they can go whatever you want. If you want it, you can put it like something like chill enemies. The movement they're reduced. You can put 1 here. You can put 1. Let's say, you know what? I want to slow more people down with dash. But like I said, dash, it's something like it's nice and at the same time it's terrible to have. But anyway, you have 2 extra points because of all the shit that I got, all the shit that for example the amulet and the weapons and all that, they allow you to like put it whatever you want. But anyway, most of the time you want to have like 1 point, 1 point, 1 point, 3 points, 1 point, and then finally poison imbuement. Poison imbuement is like your main show, right? It's the one that you want to have the most. And then if you want, you can also have apply something like a point here and there, right? Mainly this one's like they deal less damage to you. This one's kind of nice. If not, you know what? This one's for more damage speed, but it's not a must. In fact, you can ignore these two. And then moving on to this one, Frigid Finesse. Obviously, Penitent Graves, like constantly applying chill, and 15% increased damage to those enemies are pretty nice. Precision imbuement, because mainly extra damage with poison imbuments, pretty much nice. As your ult can also be whatever you like. Doesn't matter. But yeah, I go with Shadow Clone because more you are unstoppable for 5 seconds, like an unstoppable ability, but it's kind of expensive unstoppable ability. But anyway, you can go with this one. And for this stuff, it's like, okay, lucky hit increase, which is nice, but it's not a must. But we increase stuff like, for example, this one is now a lucky hit. No, not siphon. Yeah, siphoning strikes is now a lucky hit. So, having proc that more often. Bursting venoms is also kind of lucky hit. So, having increased lucky hit is nice. Trap mastery, obviously, because of our trap. And then finally, as our mastery, you can either go with exposure or close quarter combats. Or if you want to go something more like defensive, you can go with momentum. But it's up to you. Now, let's move on to the Paragon. To be honest, the Paragon, I'm gonna actually take a lot of screenshots because like what you will pause the video or something and like go through it. But to be honest, most of the stuff here is just straight up damage on something. Like for example, closer is like straight up damage on cutthroat skills. You want to have closure on the first one. Then you want to open what you would call it, tricks of the trade, right? And in here you want to put control. Control is also like more damage to crowd control targets. And like I said, Penitent Graves, it's a crowd control all the time. So it's pretty nice to have. And then as you can see, I go left and right. So in here you want to have exploit witness. As you can see, I didn't went with it. I didn't care. I just cared because it was close to the Paragon, and the way the Paragon it is the stats that I have on the Paragon. So I went with tracker. And a lot of intelligence inside here. Intelligence. I went here just to get the easy way to get the, for extra poison damage. Here you want to go and actually get cheap shot. And in here you want to have combat, like I said, critical strike damage. And critical strike restores energy. So you're constantly getting your energy back. You're going to see I'm going to do a little bit of gameplay at the end. Then you want to move on and you want to get Deadly Ambush. More critical strike damage affected by your trap skills. It's just this is nice. This is not a must, but this is nice. But here mainly we went for efficacy. More damage with imbuement and all the rare notes that you get around, like this one and this one. It increases their effect by 20%. It's pretty nice. It's like by 125% actually. So it's pretty nice. And on top of that, increase skill effect like with poison movements and all that. And then finally here you want to go with Conning Stratagem, and you want to get Bane, because poison damage, extra poison damage, and on top of that even more poison damage. So it's like poison damage is generally just gonna be in general your main damage. And now here's a quick test. Like I said, this is not the best or the perfect because I was messing with a build. I'm gonna show you a couple changes that I was doing at the end, but I kind of stopped playing with the rogue because a new season was coming over, and like when I decided to stop the rogue, it was a week before the new season was coming over, and then they nerfed a couple of things. So as you can see, I literally hit him and literally a pull. Like, you kind of proc it kind of often, and even if you didn't proc it there, don't worry, just attack an enemy. Oh my god, piece of shit. Okay. Most enemies that you attack, they kind of stay placed. They don't do anything. They don't attack you. They don't do anything. For example, this. See, she's not doing anything. She's dazed and she's dead. Like, there's kind of like a low. Like once you hit an enemy, it's pretty much like a guarantee that you will kill him. Especially like any kind of enemy. Like there's a few enemies there. You kind of want to bring it back. It's volcanic. Then. See? They're not even attacking, they're not even moving. See? Now, that guy's already dead. They're kind of dead. So, See, that guy got frozen. It's like even better. This guy's like, what's he gonna do? He's dead. Now, when mostly it's doing the damage there, it's the volcanic. And you cannot avoid it. And as you can see, most enemies are higher damage than me. They're like, well, they're 126. As you can see, they're 126 level ahead of me, and I'm 100. So they're obviously, the damage is just insane. This is a Nightmare Dungeon level 72. And as you can see, it's kind of like, it's just kind of a walk in the park. It's like, okay, here comes the point. Okay. This is nice, but it wasn't like the best of best. Now, I'm gonna go back here and I'm gonna show you a different change that I was gonna test, that I was testing. I kind of like it, mainly because it's like it was a different kind of playstyle. As you can see, that one's kind of like you are here, you are there, you're attacking, and you just move and keep attacking. It's just constantly around the room. Can be kind of sweaty, not gonna lie, especially in higher Nightmare dungeons. But what you can do, this is the variation I was testing. So for example, I ignored my ult. I didn't want an ult, and then I decided to go with this concealment. Yeah. What you want to go is just go with this, and then I decided to go, instead of dash, I was going with something like this. Oh wait, no. Not this. I remember. I went with this and Shadow Step. Now, I changed a couple things here. As you can see, I was using Share Misery, right? And I was using Infiltrators. Now, Share Misery, I already explained, it's like crowd control. It applies to everyone around it, right? There's a 50% chance, but don't worry about your chance. With the increased lucky hit, as you can see, this was like a 10%, and there were poison pools everywhere. So you can go with something like this. And I changed like something like, I changed the Umbral, because like I said, Umbral is not a must, but it's nice to have. And then finally, I think I changed Cheat. I think Cheat over Noxious Eyes, because, but either it's nice. It's either one is nice. Now, why this? Because when Infiltrators, what it does is that you don't break stealth from poison, like from using your poison trap. Now, if I decide to, for example, I go invisible, you can apply 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And then boom, everyone is just knocked down. And then you easily can just go around the enemies and kill them. Easy. Like, even in like, let's go back to the Nightmare Dungeon, they're gonna be higher. It's just, you go in and out. Just go in, do damage, and get out. Now, it just, also the movement speed is pretty nice. But we kind of fucked up. I kind of messed up. I want to press this. So want to have that extra damage, because we don't have that exit move. We don't have dash. So we want to have something like Shroud to reduce the damage. And then, okay. There's a few enemies here. Like, we get them all nice, close, and easy. And then, we're invisible. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. See? See, now this guy is knocked down, even though he was pretty far away. Oh, and he got knocked down. See, they're pretty much like, you're constantly knocking down enemies and constantly just applying. So, if the enemies were not doing anything to you before, and like with this build, it's just also insanely good. See, it's knocked down, doesn't do shit, he doesn't even attack you. So it's pretty much nice. It's nice, and that's it, man. Now we use traps here. Okay. Everyone needs either frozen or useless. Okay, we got our main damage. There's a poison pool we reapply. That's pretty much like what you want to do. It's just, okay, there's enemies here. It doesn't matter. We go in this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, when you have the time for the fourth one, doesn't matter. We're constantly applying. See, those guys are not even moving. That guy actually attacked me. We apply. We get our defense action. This guy's not even doing anything. And that's it. That's like the build. I will send you the screenshots. But anyway, if you have questions, I'm sorry about the long video, but I felt like there was a need for me to explain why the build, why the build act this way, and replacements, because it's not necessarily the best. Like I said, you could go with something like pestilent points, which is also like poison imbuement. It counts as a poison imbuement. So let's say if by any chance you cast this, you attack an enemy and it can create a pool. No matter, you just attack the enemy constantly. You create a pool. You get poison imbuement again. So there's a lot of things that you can do now. There are a couple abilities that got buff. So yeah, that's the build. And if you're wondering, like, it's a combination of everything. The damage is a combination of everything. It's a combination from your weapons, right? Vulnerable damage, core skill, strike damage. It's a combination of like something your passives. Bursting venoms also like applies like 6,000 more damage, and that 6,000 damage is getting multiplied by a lot of different things, by the paragon and all that. So also a specialization, obviously combo points. But yeah, hopefully this video was like informative, and I hope you enjoy the build. If you want to farm a specific set of gear, I recommend doing like nightmare dungeons, because at the end of the nightmare dungeon there's a chance of getting 2 legendaries, and on top of that, with tomorrow's update, you're gonna be able to get a guaranteed legendary after you kill a boss. So it's just pretty much nice. It's doing that and doing Hell Tides. So if you have any questions, don't be afraid to like reach me on what you call it, on Discord. And so yeah, there we go. All right, man. Later.